Welcome to another episode
of
Driving to the Race. That's Larry's attempt at a jingle. With your favorite hosts,
Larry and Inelia.
who really need to work on our musical
Honey,
jingle abilities.
It was your present.
I
You
know,
haven't
it's
spent any
very
time
nice.
practicing. Oh, that's better.
That was my attempt.
Yeah.
But my idea of driving to the race jingle is not some ding-a-ling-a-ling-a-ling.
Well, I know. I'm just trying.
It's like
trying something.
Doom, doom,
Doom,
doom,
doom,
doom,
doom,
doom, doom. Doom, 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 doom. Hey, Larry's so cool. Hey, Larry's so cool.
Okay.
Okay.
I'll be okay with that one.
So what are we talking about today, honey?
Today is an interesting topic.
Oh yeah?
Yeah.
What is it?
Well, honestly, one of the things that I was grasping my attention this morning was sound healing.
Sound healing.
Yeah, sound healing.
PB's healing the sounds.
It's time for Phoebe! Phoebe! Psst, psst, psst. When did you come here?
The sounds over here, honey. Come here.
You want to go outside?
You want to go outside? Yeah.
Go chase monsters?
Oh no. Come here, good girl. Come on. So sound healing. Yeah. Have you ever had a sound healing session?
Not specifically, because I never, of course, need healing. Except for when I'm actually feeling terrible.
And then you don't go anywhere?
And then I don't, accept too much help in.
I know, yeah.
So,
it happens.
A sound healing session might be interesting. I have been in sessions where I've seen it happening. And I've been in sessions where I've where it's said that that's what's going on. It's like, the crystal bowl singer, Om Shaman.
Yeah.
Remember him?
Yeah.
Yeah, he would have those sessions, and people often would experience things.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. It's I went to have a reading once with a guy in Reno in California, and do you remember his name?
The crystal one?
Timothy. Tim Glenn, I think.
Timothy Glenn.
Yeah, I think so. I think that's what his name is.
Yeah.
And
yeah, he confused me a little bit because he was a very good comedian and channeler and sound healer.
Yes.
Like, okay, that's a lot of hats.
Yeah, but he did the reading,
and
then when he saw my numbers, he said, "Oh my God, you're gonna do this and this and that. You came for this, and that." And I said, "Oh, okay." This was before I went public, and
right.
And I was like, kind of when you look at your future and you think, I don't really want that.
I don't want that, thank you.
But anyways, apart from that, he said, I have to show you something.
Okay.
So he took me to the room next door, and he had all these bowls, crystal bowls and things. And then he said, watch this. And he started playing the bowls and also singing at the same time. And suddenly, we weren't in that room. We were in a different dimension, in a more higher frequency dimension that was more pliable and more empowered. And I'm like, holy smokes, how did you do that? And he looks at me laughing, like really, really happy. He said,
yeah.
You can see it, right? You can see it, right? And I said, yes, where are we? And he called it the fourth dimension.
Nice.
And he said, I do sound healing. And what I actually do, he said, is I take people into the fourth dimension where they are more empowered and the capacity to manipulate matter and reality is more subtle. So all they do is like with that wanting to get better, they go into a more subtle reality, they get better, and they bring that better back. Something like that. I mean,
right, that makes sense to me because...
That's how I understood what he was saying to me. Excuse me. But it was amazing. And, we were talking we were talking all about of, I've written the homeworks for Walk With Me Now in the Future.
Yeah.
And talking about empirical evidence and what exactly is that, right? Empirical evidence is when you sense something, observe something with your senses, right? With your 5 senses. And that was, to me, empirical evidence because I
You
sensed
had that
it.
experience.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the sound healing aspect, it was so amazing. The other sound experiences that I've had growing up, there was always music in my house, and by that I mean we were always playing music. There was always music playing, but also we had a musical group and we would play music. We would play instruments. When I was very small, there was a piano in my house and there was a record player. I mean, if you're really old, you'll know what a record player is. These days kids don't know what that is, but it's like the thing that you play. You put a vinyl record thing on and put a little needle on it and it plays music. So there was always that in the background playing music, and it was mostly either classical music or the Beatles, which was what my parents liked. If the record player wasn't playing, the radio was on with music all the time. And then as I grew older, of course, we had cassette players and things like that. So we were always playing music. And then in our house in England, there was like a room full of instruments. And whenever there was a party or a gathering, which my mum loved to have every week, people would bring out the instruments and we'd just play music for a while. And it seemed to transform things. It brought people out of their I, me, and myself, because we didn't have many divas. You had to do it as a group, right?
Right.
And there's a lot of people who don't know how to play instruments. So we had instruments that they could play, like maracas and bells and bongos,
Right. Ones that just don't take a lot of tone.
Exactly, yeah. And we would just play, and there was 3 or 4 professional musicians in our community, and they would pretty much, lead the way. My mom always loved to play the guitar as well and sing. Anyways, so there was always music, so that was a form. This were people who had been tortured, exiled, and they were refugees. Most of them, not all of them, but there was a lot of hurt. And it felt to me that during those times, that hurt went away, even if it was like for an hour or 2. And it gave a respite,
Give you a break.
Yeah, it gave you a break.
A break from this reel.
Yeah.
Or the reel that they were experiencing.
Yes, yeah. And I remember...
Feels like connection too, right?
Yes, connection, yeah. You have to connect in order to play with other people. And then, of course, I started learning how to play the classical guitar. And it used to be a really strange experience for me, because I would grab the guitar and I'd start playing, even if it was just practicing your scales up and down, and I would feel the notes coming right through me, but it felt like from source. And I remember once I was in the living room and I started playing the scales, practicing. I had to practice the scales, let's say half an hour, and then 1 or 2 pieces after that, right? So I closed my eyes and I started doing the scales, and I would bring in these sounds and I would feel each note in my entire body. And it was beautiful, and I could feel the light emanating from the each tone, each string, and these scales, And then I finished the scales. I'm thinking, yeah, it must have been like half an hour or so. I opened my eyes, and there were people there, like friends, and I think my mom was there. They were sitting around watching me play the scales, and they were like, their eyes were totally altered state, right? And one of them said, "Oh, no, don't stop." And I'm like, "Oh, would you like me to play something?" "We don't care what you play, just do something." Play something. And I was like, that is very strange. That is a very strange experience. And then it started happening over and over again. And then even my neighbor said that when she heard me practicing. I would practice like 6 o'clock in the morning for a couple of hours before going to school, and then at night when I came back and another couple of hours. I was really, really intensely obsessed with playing the guitar. Actually, obsessed. And she would tell me, "Oh yeah, I love it when you practice," you know. And at another time, I remember we had, because of all these musicians, we formed a group playing Chilean music. Mostly it's a mix of native and classical music, like Western music. It's a really good mix. Several groups in South America started playing it, or groups that were formed by many different countries, and we would play those songs. So sometimes I would just be at home with the mics and stuff, and I would just start voicing, you know, and I would start singing the songs, or just playing with the voice, and then some of the instruments and things, and the neighbor, you know, she would see me in the garden sometimes. "Oh, I was listening to you this morning. It's so beautiful. I just had to sit and listen." And to me, it felt like, and I've seen it in people, you know, I've seen how some people are stuck with how well can I play, and will people like me? And that doesn't do much. I mean, sometimes it's beautiful, but that's it. But I've seen other people, and very, very, very talented people, who continued with that obsession, right? To professional levels. And I remember what used to happen to me. And it was like, whether it was my voice or the guitar, or other instrument, because I would grab any instrument and I would play music through it. Because what was it? How did I look at it? Or how did I experience it? I used to experience it like there was a voice. That the guitar had a voice, the violin had a voice, the flute had a voice, the recorder, you know, kids recorder had a voice. And what you were doing was to help it express that voice. And that also was my body. My body had a voice. And what I was doing was to allow it to express that voice. And that voice used to bring in the divine. To me at the time, I didn't believe in God. I don't believe in God now. Not in the Western Christian manner of God. But I know that all is sentient. And I know that all is eternal, and that we are divine eternal beings. So it was that energy that I would kind of tap into and bring through it's almost like the instrument, whether it's your body, your voice, or whether it's the guitar or the violin, wanted to speak, wanted to sing that energy. So that's what I would try and do. And I would play with the sounds until it was right. It was bringing it in. And then somebody told me, they said, "Hey, did you know what Beethoven believed in when he created music?" And I said, "No, I don't." They said his generation of musicians, what they used to do, but particularly him, was to bring God into the earth through his music. And I was like, "Oh my God, that's it. That's exactly right. That's exactly what it is." Right? That's exactly what I've been doing. And then I understood why I liked his music so much, right? So that to me is like that's what sound healing is. That's you bringing that divine energy, that source energy, through voice or through an instrument or a bell or something, and you bring it here, which of course was a completely different experience than I had with Timothy Glenn, right? Because he literally took us into a different dimension. So that was different.
It's kind of what Tom Kenyon was doing too. Remember the boy who sang The World, whatever?
Yeah.
He was similarly bringing you to a different world or something. Because my experience with him was going somewhere else and seeing the geometries of reality, underlayment of reality, which that's one of the sound healing type things I was looking at going tomorrow. I remember Stellar Fairborn's, her music we were listening to quite a while. Stellar.
Oh, yes, we love Stellar.
One of her friends is having a event kind of a thing tomorrow.
Oh, lovely.
So I'm going to check it out and see what it's about. And he did go to the pyramids with the somatics. I don't know if he invented the somatics, but he invented a process called a cymoscope or something like that. And the geometries that I see on those cymoscopes is the same ones that I used to see in my head, but in
Can you explain to
4
people what a
dimensions.
cymoscope is?
Well, it gives you a visual representation of the sound frequency. We had those, a couple of them, remember?
We do.
One of them uses liquid, kind of, and it makes like a
water.
3D form.
Yeah.
And the other one uses sand, sandy dust.
Yeah.
They're fun, interesting to look at, but it's like, in my mind, it understands this tone that when you're looking at the dust, it's like all blurry, and then it goes zzz, and it snaps into focus. And wherever it snaps into focus, it feels like that is transmitting a reality of some kind,
It can transmit a reality, or it can bring in an energy. I think it very much depends on the artist, right? And the intent behind it. And of course, we have the exploitation of sound and music for purposes of power over others, right? And the popular music or whatever, mostly is what they're giving out is low frequency feelings and energies, but also a lot of the modern artists that are become famous are very much stuck on the I, me, and myself. And their music just puts out love me, like me, right? I want you to love me and like me. I need for you to love me and like me. That type of energy. And so music and sound doesn't just heal, it can also harm. But I think the intent behind each one, by the person, by the musician, really, really affects what the experience is for the audience. So yeah, it can take you somewhere, right? Or it can bring something in. And yeah, it can take you somewhere very beautiful, it can take you somewhere very nasty. Or it can bring in beautiful, it can bring in nasty. The sound, yeah.
Interesting. Can you hear it?
So what do you think?
Well, I think that sound definitely, most definitely, when you're feeling a thing that you don't want to feel, you can definitely use sounds, even in musics, as a way to maneuver your emotions to a different place.
Yes, oh sure.
Absolutely. I mean, feeling down on the outs, you can put on happy music and kind of music that makes you feel better, and you will feel better. That's a sound healing in itself, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And you can, I've found though, sounds and songs that make some people feel better don't make me feel better.
Yeah, that's true.
But it makes
too.
them feel a lot better.
Yeah.
And you would think that it would be a universal thing.
It isn't though.
But it totally isn't. So do you think the experience you had with Timothy Glenn, where his intent was to bring you to a different dimension of place, right? Through entrainment in the sound, I suppose. I'm not sure. It's just like the vehicle that he used to be able to conceptualize doing it, and he did it. Do you think everyone will have the same transported to experience, or they would experience it differently, depending on their openness or something?
I think that he knew that I would see what he was actually doing, but I got the feeling that he was so excited to show me that because most people didn't perceive it. They didn't quite see what was happening.
They might or might not even have an experience.
Right.
And if they did have an experience, they wouldn't be able to verbalize.
Or they would experience it, or they would usually project the authority. Say, thank you.
Oh, he did it.
Tim, for fixing my whatevers, right?
Ah, yeah, I see.
They wouldn't quite understand what had happened. In their reality, they would give it an explanation.
That it's the Praetorians channeling through his
Whatever,
music, fixing me and healing me. Yeah, I see what you're saying. The Praetorians were his channeled friends.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
So one of the other things, though, a lot of people here in our community are getting very interested in tuning fork healing.
Right, definitely.
Mm-hmm. And we have Fred here who actually got the whole set, and there's a lady who teaches it.
Yeah, he took a class with her.
Yeah, and there's a lady who teaches it online, and we played around with them. It was hilarious. There was a lot of... We broke all the rules. But yeah, it was quite interesting, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm. It hasn't stuck as a thing that we use a lot of.
No.
But every night we do use sound, a sound healing in a sense.
Yeah.
Because we play the same
music yeah, to go to sleep.
When we go to sleep or when we're laying down, and it's I don't know if it has a name.
Well, it's an author, Craig Pruess.
It's Craig Pruess.
Yes.
Album.
Yep. Craig Pruess. He's a musician.
Producer and musician.
Yeah, producer, musician, and he collaborates with other singers and artists to create music. Now, some of his albums I can't really listen to, but there are some that are actually extremely high frequency.
Yeah, it's like knocked it out of the ballpark.
Yes,
with that.
knocked it off the ballpark.
Totally.
And that's the ones that I like to listen to at night, because they bring you back, or at least the experience that I have is they bring me back to remembering the frequency that is more real than the one that we have during the day.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why I like to go to sleep to that music. Right. The experience is, to me, the experience would be during the night. You know, I have dreams. A lot of the time I have nightmares and things like that. And they bring certain frequencies and energies in that keep me in to me, what is a very low frequency state.
Your nightmares?
Not necessarily, but it's like importances as well and things like that, you know. And then during the day, we have an experience of life, at least I do, that to me is extremely low frequency. To me, right? What do I mean by that? It means that there are chicken scratches, importances, things, are a co-creation on the planet that is mostly at a larger scale, power over others. Here, a community scale is not power over others. But there's always, to me, a soup of egoic realities and games and plays. Now, I have to qualify this statement by saying that if we were to compare to other realities around the planet, if I change the comparison note, frequency, it is an extremely high frequency experience on the planet. Everybody here that I interact with on a daily basis is awake, aware, interested and interesting, and very rarely do they fall into deep egoic games, right? They're emotionally healthy individuals, and it's a joy to have this experience of life with everybody who's in my life right now, right? Including my puppies and kittens and whatever, right? I'm talking mostly about people.
And your chickens even.
Yeah. So what I'm saying by extremely low frequency, it is because my natural state is not even singular. My natural, where I feel comfortable, is not an egoic construct or a singular construct. And for me, what is important, for example, are the frequencies of the planet, right? And what that looks like, and it's beautiful. It's like an orchestra playing music, like we're talking about sounds, right?
Right.
And there is no judgment in the music that's being played. It's just music. And I see that there's colors and frequencies that are not natural to this reality and to this world. And And that's why we're here. We're here to tune up this reality construct. So from the level of that, level of awareness and the frequency, not being about, oh, what does Inelia want right now?
Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh, I have to eat breakfast because my body's hungry. Or I have to, I have a headache. Or, oh, I want to go to the beach. Oh, that's so funny, let's laugh, It's almost, from the different perspectives that I look at it, the frequencies that play around. And I understand that in order to deliver the message of empowerment to people and to be able to do that, I have to be alive here on this planet. Mm-hmm. Once you die, you can't influence the physical plane, period. Unless you possess another person, and then it's never pretty, right? And you're still back on the planet because you're possessing this other person.
You're just not quite as good at whatever you're doing.
Exactly, yeah. So the whole aspect of it for me is very different than somebody who's really invested and enjoying this game. Do you see what I'm saying? A soul came here to have an experience.
Right.
Okay? An experience of being in a physical body and having experiences in that physical body. And they take great pleasure, and it's a big experience they're having for 60, 70, 80 years or whatever it is. Right?
Yeah, like being the captain of a giant ship.
Here we go again.
Yeah.
That one, right?
That's a giant experience.
Yes.
That kind of got messed up.
Yeah.
I mean, it did.
Yeah.
That wasn't the experience we were after.
No, that's true. And so some of those importances have to be embraced in order to stay in a physical body here on the planet. Mm-hmm. Right? So, yeah, to me, that's what it's about. It's about that and this frequency. So when I say it's an extremely low frequency experience, what I'm saying is that there's a lot of energies that I experience that to me feel uncomfortable, such as importances or egoic constructs or singularity, or having to be limited to only being able to have a viewpoint from inside of a physical body, right? Like an objective viewpoint.
Yeah, like this is right and that isn't right. Or
no, literally a viewpoint, the point of view, like where you're looking through two tiny little pinpricks, which are called eyes.
Right.
That's what I mean.
Right.
So that's what I mean by extremely low frequency.
Maybe is restricted in, because there's always, I think that implicit in the word high and low frequency is the judgment of high is good and low is bad.
Right.
And that's one of the things that's probably worth examining, because that is like the first invitation to
judgment,
separation.
And separation, yeah. So, yeah, I understand that. And so I know it's very easy to fall into judgment the way that I'm using these words. Right? Oh, Inelia thinks that all our lives are low frequency and bad.
And distracting from her natural high frequency state.
Exactly. Distracting, or she's forced to be here.
If it wasn't for us, then she could just go off and be perfect, but she has to be like involved in all this.
Yeah, so all this martyr energy.
Crap, just so she can talk to us, because otherwise we won't hear her.
Yeah, so a lot of martyrdom going on and suffering for the sake of humanity going on,
Woe is you.
Yeah, so it's difficult to verbalize without going into those energies, which are also low frequency energies. The judgment, the martyrdom, all those are judgments of frequencies. Mm-hmm. And I could very easily interpret them that way, right? I could very easily say, I'm having to do this stuff, but I don't. At some level, it's actually part of the orchestration, or the orchestra playing the music. Mm-hmm. And the human collective will manifest the individuals and situations that it needs for its to carry out its decisions. Right?
Well, it's been doing it for a while, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, do I feel unhappy as a person having to do this, or even the words having to do this? I don't have to do anything. That's the whole point. We'll choose it.
Well, you had to move from California, choice or not.
So, yeah. So when sometimes the orchestration, the larger orchestration dictates that you cannot be in a certain location, or you can't do a certain job or whatever.
Sure.
As an orchestration of the human collective. But you came here with that knowledge. You knew that you came here for a larger orchestration of a game. And
you could literally have stayed.
I could have
You
stayed.
could literally have stayed and
died.
Probably died. Certainly.
So they wouldn't have stayed because I would have died.
Right? I guess.
I would not have stayed because I would have died. I mean, that was clear.
Okay. So.
The larger orchestration trumps the singular.
Oh, that's good to know.
Yeah. So that's why when you create your manifestation items or whatever's, you need to take into account a believable story for the larger orchestration to accept your little story.
True story, that.
Yeah. So yeah, it's like that. We can interpret it in many, many different ways. And it's like, yeah, you can interpret it like martyrdom, but
excuse me.
It's that would be one interpretation that would, from the viewpoint of a low frequency experience, right? Because I don't subscribe to martyrdom. I don't have that as an essential energy. So it's like that, As a human individual, like I said before, as a human individual, my life, I think, is extremely high frequency. I rarely subscribe to engage or participate in low frequency games. Mm-hmm. Right? I don't say never because sometimes I do. By choice, though.
The invitations are really irresistible sometimes.
But by choice.
Right.
Right? Which already raises that frequency. Oh, I choose to have an argument with this person right now. Right?
By orchestration, sometimes perhaps that's really honestly the only way they could hear you.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like that.
It gets a bit convoluted when we're talking about relative frequencies anyways.
Yeah, exactly.
So
that's
your
what I'm saying.
Low frequency interaction is actually high frequency
for another person
on a normal day.
Yeah, for another person, or even for me,
or
it's like
for you,
So that's what it's very difficult to describe it without, like you said, like the judgment of high frequency, low frequency, expanded awareness, shrunk awareness, and all these other items.
Right. Our tendency is to think that only at one frequency is that the experience that we're after, and we have to stay that frequency forever in order to be right and good.
Right, exactly.
But that's not actually true.
No, it isn't. It isn't. To me, it's really important that people don't fall into the notes that are anger, fear, stress, frustration, jealousies. It's important that you don't fall into those, because those bring the music into a very unhealthy state and location.
Well, unhealthy state and location, meaning the words that you might use
destructive.
There's a split going on.
Yes.
And in portion of the split, they have light-dark mixed experience. And in light-dark mixed experience are verbiages that have anger, jealousy, fear. Those are
as well
large
as love
parts of the
and
experience.
Caring, empathy,
the drama. In order for it to be dramatic, it has to be like meaningful in a negative or positive way. They have to like save themselves from dying, or save the children from dying, or what
or go around murdering people,
or go around and off yourself to save the world, or
murder
make
people.
A big drama, telenovela, whatever.
Yeah.
So that paradigm needs that frequency to even exist.
Exactly.
If you want to have that experience, you have to have that frequency in a space to exist. Otherwise, you couldn't have it.
Right.
But the corollary to that is in the space where it's light at high frequency, that bandwidth of experience doesn't come in.
No,
it's
it
incompatible
doesn't.
with
It's
those.
incompatible, right?
So every time that you indulge in a lower frequency, you are actually
feeding
the light-dark
yeah.
experience to make it bigger and stronger, and sort of like keeping your foot in it.
Yes, exactly, yeah.
When the experience that most or many of us came to have is the one where we move into a light reality.
Exactly. An expanded awareness, light reality, right?
So the light reality is right for us,
Yeah.
but doesn't mean it's right for everyone.
Exactly, yeah.
And the experience of shifting from a light-dark reality, which is the one we all have right now, to a light reality isn't an instant snap our fingers, because we don't agree to that snap our fingers reality switch. Because the consequence of it.
What are the consequences of it?
The consequence of it was that all of these other people who have a light-dark experience aren't done and don't want to, and in order to have the one we want, they have to go away in a way that
doesn't impact us negatively.
That we can say is a high-frequency way to conduct our split, which we are dictating what the high-frequency way is, which, in this sense, we're just, to some degree, waiting them out. It's like, okay, we're going to have a new frequency here. Okay. And until you're done, we're going to keep doing this. Okay. Yes. And you're going to be done when you step out of here.
Yeah.
And your kids, too, if you've, inculcated them, because now they've chosen that, too, for 2 or 3 generations, to make this a very slow, easy process that doesn't appear to be dramatically negative.
Yeah.
Which, some people who want a light paradigm are like, get on with it already, I can't take this anymore. And other ones are like, well, I've heard that there's more people exiting, but I haven't actually seen it right next to me.
Right.
Most often because we're in a high-frequency reality with high-frequency people who aren't exiting for the most part.
Yeah.
It's kind of funny. It's the reality you subscribing to is the one you're experiencing more and more and more. And as you experience it more and more and more, the other one is less and less and less visible. It's still like Channel 2 has the news on it. And we could turn it to Channel 2, but we so very rarely ever do. The only way Channel 2 news comes into our reality is through, in a sense, a hijacked high-frequency channel.
Yes.
Hey, look what stuck me.
Yeah.
Look, that's on Channel 2. What do they do there? Look, there's a monster on it. Remember that monster?
And there's baddies and goodies.
Right.
Yeah. So from that perspective, right, the human life that I experience is extremely high frequency, right? It's filled with interesting days, interesting people, interesting conversations, beautiful food, and beautiful experiences, physical experiences. So one might think, well, why did you say that is extreme low frequency to you?
Right.
Why would you describe
that's what somebody would naturally think, because they would. It's like you have a perfect, beautiful life with beautiful animals, love you, a beautiful community, beautiful birthday, beautiful everything.
Yeah.
And healthy body, even getting healthy body.
Yeah, healthy,
Yeah, so how's that low frequency? That would be the question someone would ask.
Yeah. So that's why I was trying to qualify it, right? I was trying to explain to you with regards to frequencies and things, and music especially. To me, the experience that I had or have most mornings is from being everything in the universe, right? And experiences that awareness, and then it has to shrink, and I lose data, information, frequencies, until it becomes one tiny two little pinpricks that I look out of, and one tiny bit of information for the planet, and one tiny little I, me, and myself, who's Inelia, right? And to me, that is a shrinking of awareness, which I equate with lowering...
dropping in frequency.
Yeah, dropping of frequency. That's how I equate it.
Because in your mind, or in the way that we're communicating, higher frequency is expanded awareness. Lower frequency is contracted
Shrinking.
Awareness.
Yes. Yeah.
So we have a very contracted awareness reality experience on Earth, Gaia, right now.
By choice.
By choice, by literal choice.
Yes.
Literally, the choice is what makes the experience.
And at some point, of course, it becomes from it becomes from everything is to, oh, this is interesting, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's all about those frequencies. But I do like to spend time in that, or reminding myself a little bit about that larger state of awareness.
Well, in a lot of ways, in all ways, the human experience choice that we're having right now includes bringing you and your expanded awareness experience into ours to, expand our awareness.
Yes.
Right. Which
Right.
is raise our frequency.
Yes. And it makes it easier if you raise your frequency, right?
Right. It's kind of
So
like wag
a lot
the
of the
dog tail
conversations,
thing.
yeah, a lot of the conversations I've been having in the Walk With Me Now and the monthly call there, and in the Spanish broadcast that we do on Saturdays, the and the classes that we've been giving, the private tuition and classes, the topic is, I can see it gelling into the human collective,
Mm-hmm.
right? And the topic is, all of us are moving from the only importance of the I, me, and myself, into the dynamic of the importance of us, we ourselves, and I, me, and myself being equally important. And we're going from my ascension experience to our ascension experience.
That's almost like
my
a key there.
expansion of awareness to our expansion of awareness. And it's telling people, literally, when you do a study group, let's say for clearing your wealth lines class,
mm-hmm.
right? If you do a study group that are happening right now and Walk With Me Now, if you join one of those study groups or start one, and then you discuss the first 10 minutes of the class together,
yep.
You're literally expanding your awareness, because you're hearing other people's awareness of what that means, that you couldn't possibly come up with yourself. You have your own right viewpoint or experience of it, but now your experiences are the people's experiences. That is the definition of expanding your awareness. It's not hard. It's not rocket science, right?
In some funny way, if you think about it, one of the purposes of school is to narrow your your expanded body of awareness to a singular one that's dictated.
Yes.
And everyone has to agree
the hive mind
that's
concept.
The one that we all agree on.
Yeah.
And the other ones, the ones where you're thinking, hey, maybe gravity is like different than what you're saying, those are the ones that get squished.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So it's ridiculous in a way, isn't it? It's such a backwards, upside down world sometimes.
Yes.
Education, the education system. Not every educator.
Right.
Not every class, not every teacher, not every university. But by and large, the idea is to consolidate your belief, knowing, experience of reality into one that we is the same. It's like, repeat all of this. Repeat. The color of the water is blue. Everybody, it's blue. But I know if I look over there, it's green.
Yeah.
And where I live, it's also kind of white sometimes.
Yeah.
No. Water is blue. Okay, water's blue. That's basically narrowing your awareness, right?
Yeah.
Discounting your personal experience and substituting our own. And that gives you an A.
Yes.
Okay. So unschooling is an interesting topic that we talked about before. I haven't read a book about it. And it's a 1950s kind of philosophy, with its own set of awkwardnesses to it. So I'm not going to prescribe it or anything. But the whole idea has been an interesting idea from a very, very, very long time. As I was going through school, I remember coming to the awareness that I was going to school to get ready for the next grade.
Yeah.
And then I would go to the next grade, and I'd be all that timing in like primary school, grade 1 to 5, was getting ready for going to middle school. And then 6th grade was specifically about getting ready for 7th grade. And then 7th, 8th, and 9th grade were to get ready for going to high school for 10th, 11th, and 12th grade. because 12th grade was to get ready for going to college for, what's that, 13th and 14th and 15th and 16th grade. And 16th grade was to get you ready to do master's degree, which was to get you ready to do a PhD or whatever. Mm-hmm. And I was like, but when do we get ready to do the thing that we're learning? You know what I mean?
Yeah, it wasn't about that.
So it wasn't about that. It was very, very interesting. When I saw that, I was stunned.
Yeah.
Because I thought that was really, really weird. And then I did something really, really smart.
You left school?
I left school and I joined the Coast Guard.
Yeah, that was...
And in the Coast Guard, I had an imagination in my head of how this was going to go, you know. I was going to, like, working on this boat, saving people in the rough water, and flipping the boat over and go through the surf, you know.
Yeah.
Basically surfing on a bigger surfboard made out of steel.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was what I kind of imagined, but it turned out...
To clean and paint
the
houses?
The tasks and the jobs that I did, yeah, they were not that satisfactory. But the experience of entering into... training, a school, and this case it was 8 weeks long of boot camp school, was to get you ready. I mean, this is such an important job that you're going to be doing. You have to go to jail for 8 weeks and do everything we tell you in whatever order we tell you to do. And if you even mess up a tiniest bit, 8 weeks is 9 weeks, and 10 weeks, and 11 weeks. It may never ever end.
Right.
So this is very important stuff we're going to be doing. So here, go over here. We're going to torture you for a while. If you can make it through this torture, then you can have a job here.
Wow.
And if you can't make it through this torture, well, we're going to torture you some more because you're ours. And we'll just tell you when we're done torturing you. I was like, oh my goodness. So I did my torture.
Oh my goodness.
I did really good at it, by the way.
Yeah, of course.
Of course. And I graduated from my torture. And guess what my job was? It was so important. I couldn't answer the phone.
You couldn't answer the phone?
No, I wasn't allowed to.
Oh.
Because there was a long list of prerequisites to answering the phone.
Okay.
So
what was your job?
My job was to answer the phone.
Oh.
But I wasn't even qualified
to answer the phone?
8 weeks of torture to answer the damn phone.
Oh, so you had to go training?
I had to go training in order to answer the phone.
Oh my goodness.
And once I had training to answer the phone, then I had to get training in order to mow the grass. And I had to get training in order to do the dishes. It's like... oh my God, you guys got this really complicated. Okay, I can do this. The funny thing is that this is hilarious. You're going to laugh. So I do 8 weeks of torture, and then I end up at the little boat station where I can go play in the surf on the boats. And I don't actually get to go on the boats.
No.
I'm going to work in the kitchen, doing the dishes and, you know, cutting the potatoes and the normal kitchen gallery duty. Everybody that shows up has to do it for a month.
Okay.
I don't know why I had to go all this torture, so just to do the dishes, you know, but hey, that's their
sense,
system.
Right? Yeah.
I was like, can't we have people hired to do all of these jobs so I can go out there on the boat and like make the boat go and like save people's lives? Because this seems ridiculous to me.
Yeah.
So you know what you know what I did to expand my experience?
What?
I got a job at the pizza restaurant next door to the Coast Guard restaurant. So I would do food at the Coast Guard all day, and then I would go to the pizza place and do food also.
Oh my
But
goodness.
the one at the pizza place, I was a bit of a debutante.
Yeah, you're very good.
Well, no, it's not that. It's just like good friends with the manager.
Oh, okay.
So I could do whatever I wanted.
Oh, okay.
So I had an expanded experience of Coast Guard at the pizza joint. It's like, that was how I could breathe.
Yeah.
Well, I worked at restaurants before, so it was like a little bit of the familiarity and grabbing back my own power, you know.
Yeah.
It's like, I will work in this restaurant and I will get paid, and if I don't want to do that, I won't do that, and I won't go to jail for it. Watch.
Right.
You know, it was kind of a thing. I'm taking my power back.
Yeah.
That was what it was.
Oh, interesting.
But it was a funny experience because it moved the needle from going to school to get ready to go to the next grade to I'm going to school to get ready to do the next job.
Right.
But every job was another school.
For another job.
For another job, yeah.
Oh, man.
And then I'm doing this whole job to be good at riding around on the boat. And then the next job is, do you want to fix helicopters? How's that related? I don't know. Do you want to do newspaper reporting and take pictures? Do you want to jump in the water and swim after people and save them up in a helicopter? Do you want to drive a ship around and navigate it? Do you want to paint the boat and then have a bunch of guys listening to you that you tell to paint the boat? And what job do you want? So it was like got to go to another school.
Which one did you go to?
I went to the school where this is hilarious, all right?
Okay.
So the whole reason I wanted to go in the Coast Guard in the first place, the first little draw, was because they had icebreakers and I wanted to go to Antarctica.
Yes.
And then when I got in the Coast Guard and I asked the guy, I said, can I go to Antarctica if I join the Coast Guard on one of these icebreakers? He says, oh, yes, you bet you can. Like, he said, not many people want to do that, so you can go there easy. Yeah, that turned out to be a lie. Because not only that, did that ship's jobs never show up. The whole time I was in the Coast Guard, there was never one time that I ever had the opportunity that they would let me go there.
Oh, no.
I ended up, okay, well, the next best thing for me would be a small little boat that goes in the surf and rescues people in the surf. That'd be fine.
Okay.
So I got one of those, and I got there, and it turned out not to be fine, not even a tiny bit.
Oh, no.
No, not even a tiny bit. It's like, imagine a place populated by a whole bunch of people who mostly don't want to be there.
Oh, no.
And then in charge of the whole operation are people who are trapped.
Oh, no.
Trapped by their bills and their easy life.
Yeah.
Yeah, to continue that, so they're there also.
Oh,
and
my goodness.
only satisfaction they get is, the major satisfaction they get is
torturing other
torturing
people.
the younger people who just come in, because torture is how obviously you create good people.
Yeah.
Good workers is through torturing them.
That's what they've learned, right?
That's right, exactly. That's the whole idea. So my job that I picked happened to be the one that got me out of there the fastest, and also was tolerable, which was navigating ships. I figured, well, if we're going to go around on the world on ships, I might as well be on the bridge and see what's going on.
Right, right.
Plus, I could go there right away because nobody seemed to want to do that job.
Oh, that's strange.
Yeah. Everybody wanted to fly around in a helicopter job.
Oh.
So if you wanted to do the fly around in helicopter jobs, you had to apply for the school. Then it was a 3-year wait.
So you had to increase your time in the Coast Guard, right?
So you had to stay where you were, being tortured.
For 3 years.
For 3 years, waiting for your turn,
And
just to
maybe
go there.
Get there.
And maybe get there. And in order to go there, then you have to sign up for another 4 years or 5 years or whatever, just to go to the school. So you better really want to do that.
Yeah.
So I decided to drive ships around. So I went to school and learned how to do that. I had the greatest time. The school, for some reason, the school experiences are just fantastic, you know. And I think it's the anticipation of what comes.
Yeah, plus learning new things. You like learning new things.
Yeah, we learned how to, I figured driving ships, we're going to learn how to navigate where they are on the planet. No, we're talking to each other with flags. Truly. We stand up on the tippity top with these 2 flags, and you go, you move the flags around.
Yeah.
And you talk to the guy on the other ship without using the radio.
Wow.
Or use a little light blinker, blink, 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 in Morse code.
Yeah.
So we spent a whole week at school learning how to do that to each other, and then doing it really, really fast and really, really well.
Wow.
Because you have to pass the test, of course.
Of course. Yeah.
Anyway, at the end of all of that, I ended up on a ship doing buoys in Chesapeake Bay.
Where's that?
Chesapeake Bay is by Washington, D.C.
Okay.
At the bottom of the river.
Okay.
Potomac River goes into the Chesapeake Bay.
Okay.
And there's a few other rivers. Norfolk and Portsmouth and, East Coast. I had never been East Coast. So it was kind of interesting to see the whole different
culture and people.
Everything, yeah. That was pretty fun. It was a nice experience, actually.
Oh, good.
And what I learned in school pretty much mostly didn't translate to what I was doing.
Oh,
we didn't have any. We had those flags.
You never used them?
Well, they were just in the little drawer for, I guess, an event of I don't know what. We just had to have them.
Oh my goodness.
We didn't have a blinker thing either.
Oh no.
So it was a lot of work to get that blinker stuff in your head, And then you get there.
No,
we don't use blinkers. No, call them on the radio. And the same thing with the little, you see people that are navigating, they use a celestial thing, a little knobby thing to check the sun or whatever and see how far they're away are, and you do a whole bunch of that, and then you magically find out where you are. Yeah, we used a GPS.
Okay.
You just push the button. But it was fun.
Yeah.
Whatever. It's kind of like the engine that is that the Coast Guard, for example, or the Navy, I'm sure, Army, that's probably all the same.
Yeah.
That engine is maybe 40 or 50 years old. It's churning out people who are apparently doing what needs to be done.
Yeah.
Despite
the change in technologies.
Everything's changed.
Yeah.
They're good at the celestial navigation, but they don't need to be, but it doesn't matter.
Mm-hmm.
They were good at being tortured for a while, learning something they possibly cram into their brain.
But I think it's more to do with making slaves, right? People who are compliant.
Well, they have the hammer and the carrot down good, no question, and enough hammers. Yeah. Some of the things that helped me through that experience were shutting off my brain and being a robot.
Oh, drinking a lot of beer, huh?
Well, that helped too. Actually, that didn't help at all. I can't think of any situation that actually helped. Ever. Even once.
It didn't help you become a better slave?
No.
Oh, man.
No.
What about brain dead? Did it help you become brain dead?
No, it just made me very uncomfortable.
Oh, man.
It just brought in more and more discomfort. It just made... It distracted. I guess it distracted from the torture.
Yeah, there you go.
That'll make me better at being tortured. Oh, man. Yeah, that's another thing, that's an interesting thing to consider is when you remember things, what do you remember about them? Do you remember the great things, or do you remember the horrible things, or what is your set point for memory? Mm-hmm. And is that related to this sound? Does the sound hook you into a memory, a future past, or a past future, or expanded sense future, whatever? Does the sound change the way that you're remembering something?
It's possible.
Yeah, well, think about it this way. Country music, you're crying, tears in your beers because your girlfriend left you and took the dog.
Yeah.
So when you're thinking about your girlfriend who left you, maybe, and you listen to country music, definitely you're going to be sad.
It's true.
And then if you're listening to la music, the kind that we like, that's all about, I don't even know what the words mean because I don't know the words. They're in a foreign language and we can't figure them out. They're chants of this or that. But the place that it brings you, the memory that I have, isn't of my girlfriend left me from whatever with the dog. I don't even have that at all. Mm-hmm. I have the memories of, like you said, a future or an expanded place.
Yes.
Right? Yeah. So maybe in some ways the sound healing is remembering a place that
remembering your divine
limitation
nature,
and your divine nature is.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah. So, not everyone experiences country music the same as I do, though.
No?
Probably not. So probably the same thing with music, or do you think it's a universal language?
Well, country music, when you say country music, I think I'm going to buy me a boat and a big truck to pull it.
And a truck to pull it.
Right.
And a Yeti 700 with 12 silver bullets in it.
Yeah, which I don't know what it meant. You told me it was beer.
That's a very expensive cooler with Coors Lights.
Okay. So, yeah,
Yeah.
Or there's another one that became really famous, but I can't remember it now. But all I remember about that country song is this cowboy boy, really buff cowboy dancing around, and that was it. I can't even remember the music.
It brings you to the memory of a
cowboy
hunk dancing around. So yeah, so I guess that's something to do with the sound and the sound healing. Yeah. The healing is bringing you to that expanded state of space awareness,
which is interesting because when to us country music brings back different memories. Even the sound, the words country music for you means, oh my God, my girlfriend left me and took the dog. And to me, it's like, I'm going to get me a boat and a big truck to pull it. And, a truck to pull it. And this, hunky kind of cowboy boys dancing around in the sand, it's like in the desert. So it's very, very different, isn't it?
Totally is.
Yeah.
So music isn't necessarily the universal, but the memory that it can bring is probably universal to you.
Yeah.
Based on what you pick.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, I guess it's not that profound, huh? It's as profound as the lesson in life that we learned the other day, and I'm pretty sure it was on a video.
What was that?
If it moves and it shouldn't, use duct tape. And if it doesn't move and it should, use WD-40.
Yeah, that was really good.
Yeah, it's profound, huh?
Very profound.
It's awful handy advice.
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
That's the wisdoms that we like.
Keep them simple
Keep
and make them
simple.
profound.
Make it profound. Yeah.
Well, one of the things I think that we should talk about before we finish up is tapping into our expanded awareness and tapping into our connection with Gaia.
Mm-hmm.
And hearing, literally hearing, visualizing, and in some way like the sound healing that you're using with, or having with Timothy Glenn, going to that expanded awareness state to collect guidance that you can use in this, I guess, place, time, to help keep you
and
keep you on track. And I guess that's the best way, is to keep you on track with the experience you came here to have.
Yeah, but also that's why I didn't say we're going to go from the I, me, and myself to us, we, and ourselves. I said we're going to have the two, right? We're going to have the two, and I think on this week's second hour we're going to be going deeply into the Gaia connection, right?
Right, definitely, because the end of the last important. Second hour, we're supposed to get a feedback on what is the exact message Gaia gave you. Yeah. What in words is it, and what does it mean? Mm-hmm. Yeah, how to work it, and how to interpret it.
I also want to let people know that the Instant Manifestation Workshop at Benz Academy is still accepting students for the next rendition of the workshop. It's very, very powerful, very intense, and requires a lot of dedication. We have a lot of staff members, facilitators, and material to go through. But I also wanted to talk a little bit about the class that we do on the Subscribe Star. Larry and I are going to be doing a class, and it's going to be before the 15th. So if you haven't subscribed yet to our second hour, go to Subscribe Star, and one of the options there is for you to also join the class. The monthly class. And so it's going to be awesome, and we're going to be preparing that to get into really nice tools and methods that you can use in order to step out of the low frequency stuff that may be happening in your life or around you, or subscribing to those, and really starting to explore our universe in that other state that you are, which is extremely expanded.
Right. It's basically giving you more of the story.
What story?
Low frequency is contracted. Contracted awareness of something, anything. Let's just say, bees. Bees sting you. Bees are bad. Yeah. That's very low frequency. Look at bees. But then bees pollinate flowers and bring fruit and life into the world. And they only sting you if you harass them.
Or because you need a healing from arthritis.
Or you have arthritis and you need some bee stings, a little inflammation to help things move out.
Yeah.
Right. It's just the wider your expanded awareness of a thing, the higher your frequency of that thing normally.
Yeah. Yeah.
I guess. I don't know.
There she goes.
I think we're done.
Dogs are going nuts.
Dogs are going nuts. The music is playing. Our second hour is coming up.
Yes.
And we're going to talk about cool stuff.
Cool stuff.
And have class.
Yes.
So if you haven't got a second hour,
Go ahead and do it.
If you don't want to do second hour, just do Walk With Me Now and it comes with it.
Yes, it does.
Yeah. Okay. Love you, honey.
Love you too, darling.